record.
Hello and welcome to all the men and women of the West. I'm Joe, and here with me today is the immaculate, valiant Jasper Lane.
Pleasure to be here as always, and man, I'm actually dreading this video a bit.
Why is that?
Well, it's because it's going to be our last ones. This is just all the side pieces, the characters that we really don't have a whole lot to say of one way or another.
Well, after this, we should probably do something like start on the Game of Thrones series
That's not a
and
bad
just
idea. Even if
and
the
just start.
series is as old as it is, we could still probably touch and add some things on it.
Yeah, yeah. Especially if it means we get to discuss Robert Baratheon. I really like him. He was funny. I'm sorry, but he's basically Homer Simpson. Like it doesn't get funnier than that, at least in my opinion. Maybe it's just because I'm French. I just take derive Schadenfreude from seeing Robert screw around and screw up the Seven Kingdoms. I shouldn't, but you know,
I mean, hey, he was better than the last king.
yeah, and better than some of the monarchs and figures. I'd argue of this war
Oh, yeah, definitely.
because he at least gave a bit of a darn, or at least, well, his excuse is he was drunk. What's theirs?
Alrighty, but is there any? But with that all squared away, we got a lot of characters to get through, but at the same time, not a whole lot to say on each of them. Is there any particular character you want to start with, or
Let me see. This is really tough because there's so many. All right. I know you noted down Massaria, but I don't care enough about her to really delve too much detail.
I
She
le-
doesn't seem important enough.
I legit the only reason I put her down was so we could talk about her terrible accent.
I forget what was her accent.
I don't know what it was, but she talked it like this. The people had the power. It's just fucking terrible.
Yeah, that's why I was perhaps a little.
I needed the subtitles when she was talking to Otto Hightower.
Ouch! Ouch! Uh, as for uh, as for, I was thinking Helena would be the best place to start, and go from there to the Strongs and whatever side characters we come across
Alrighty.
along
So,
the way. So,
yeah, so
uh,
Helena Targaryen, definitely an interesting departure from the books.
yeah, because in the book, she's someone who doesn't have much of a role,
Mm-hmm.
and the thing is, she doesn't really. How do I put it? She doesn't really do anything other than suffer that one. No, wait. Yeah, I can't remember what she's doing at the opening part of the war. I thought she was pregnant or something in the book. I mean, like like around the time of the coronation. I can't remember.
Well, we can't exactly go that deep into the war in that regard because
Yeah,
because obviously that's spoilers. We don't want to ruin it all for the people listening, even though probably most of them are book readers.
yeah. Like I said, though, I'm confused by like I don't think there was anything really that she's up to while Viserys is alive.
Mm-hmm.
And what I did note now that I think about it is that she, she at least seemed in the book close enough to her dad who doted on her children.
Mm-hmm.
So that's about it. But in the show, she's clearly something of a Cirrus, kind of in the mold of Cassandra from the Trojan stories.
Yes, she's able to predict the worst scenes that are about to come.
Yeah, funny how you emphasize the worst scenes
It will
because
erupt from the ground.
uh, that stupid scene with Rhaenys.
But I know you said like a seer, but I'm a little ignorant in that regard because I mean a seer that's more of like the old gods kind of thing. A part of me wonders if there's like a Valyrian future sightseer, but no, maybe it was called, they were just called seers because Aegon's sister or an ancestor of Aegon also visioned the doom of Valyria, and that's why the Targaryens got the hell out of there.
Yeah, yeah. Her Cirrus abilities um, seem rather vague. Like it's a very traditional fantasy approach that's taken, where you don't know how much she knows. Maybe she doesn't know how much she knows. I'm not saying that to like belittle her intelligence or something. It's just it is so utterly vague that I'm not sure. The only one who ever did like stories and prophecies that were very clear were actually I think Tolkien and Howard were the only ones. Everybody else always prefers to go the vague route, and I actually kind of like the approach a bit more because it means we get to think a little more, and we have to. Like I usually prefer Tolkien and Howard, but this is something I agree with later writers,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that keeping it vague harkens more back to some old stories about seerresses and seers, like from Arthuriana.
Yeah,
But on the other hand, it seems like Helena does know exactly what she's talking about.
yeah.
Like
Going
I said,
going back to like you're talking about, riddles and kind of along those lines. I'm kind of in agreement of you, but I do like it even like if it seems so obvious, and then there's that twist, because George does have some obvious like uh, riddles and prophecies and whatnot. The first one of my favorite was apparently there was a prophecy that the hammer would smash the dragon or something along those lines. And a character in history and who will appear in Dance of the Dragons thought that meant he was destined to take the Iron Throne. When in actuality, we know, oh, we know what's coming. We know what's coming and who's going to be swinging that hammer. Another one is Cersei hearing
well,
the
with that,
prophecy
with that,
that her younger brother would kill her, and just like her, a lot of us were like, "Ah, Tyrion gonna strangle the bitch," but we keep forgetting, despite them being twins, Jaime's technically the younger brother as well.
yeah, I always got the impression that maybe it was Jamie destined to strangle her,
Yeah,
and he would do it, and like the show clearly went in a different direction than expected. But I always thought that it meant that someday he was going to strangle Cersei in a fit of rage and hatred or something,
mm-hmm.
like where Jamie would come to hate her more.
Yeah,
And I don't know, like I just thought, well, clearly that's not going to be Tyrion. That's too predictable. But that said, uh,
yeah.
yeah,
Helena
Helena's
did she? I don't know
Helena.
if she understands the vision she has. Though then again, we've only heard her talk about her visions when she was a child, right? I don't think she's had any premonitions when she was older.
I thought she did.
Which one was it then?
I
Right,
think I
rising
thought
from the
she.
ground.
Yeah,
Yeah, she.
but
If
I
she
think
understood them, I feel like because she's obviously, she's a bit awkward, but she's perfectly mentally capable in like saying, "Hey, that bitch Valarion is going to be busting through the floor, and killing all those people. Like, make sure she's locked up."
hmm,
So there has to be like some sort of like whether the vision or the dreams that she has are obscured or I don't know, but it seems like she herself is not able to interpret them to a reasonable situation.
yeah, I yeah, Helena just both confuses me, and I'm gonna be honest, I kind of find the prophetic side fairly fascinating. So, oh, and just as a quick side note of trivia, Helena is derived from Helen or Helen of Troy. So there is a clear nod to the Trojan myths there. So
Yeah.
well played on
So
George's part.
yeah, I'll be completely honest. I didn't have a strong connection to Helena in the books, and I don't have a strong connection with the one in the show. Her only moment that really stands out to me was during the family meal, where she says, "Don't worry, your husband will ignore you," or something along that line. She had her little quip and dig at Aegon, which was kind of amusing. But
Yeah,
in both cases, she is a side character and a fairly minuscule one at that, um, who just doesn't get a lot to do. And so the prophecy aspect, it it just seems like a quirk. It's a quirk they added to her, but they could have added like almost anything, and it would be just as meaningful to me. Like, she talks in the third person. What a quirk. She's always biting her nails. What a quirk. Like, it just doesn't add a whole lot to her. So I'm hoping we do get a bit more of her in the second season, though.
Yeah, yeah. Um, I don't have much more to say about her, so let's jump over to the Strongs.
Uh,
Honest, honestly, I know people will probably want to burn me at the stake, but initially in the show, Jace and Luke really blended together to me.
oh, you're talking about the bastards. Got it. Okay, I was getting ready to talk about Harwin Strong.
Okay, let's talk about Harwin instead.
Yeah, let's start with the better Strongs before we talk about the bastards.
Yeah, the better ones, Harwin Strong. I think by that you mean the. Yeah, I'm just sorry, I'm tired.
That's fine.
Uh,
But I have to say, I greatly enjoyed all three Strongs: Lionel, Harwin, and Larry's. However you pronounce the last one. I really enjoyed all three of them, especially Lionel. And it was really nice that he was book accurate. When I watched the first episode, I was just like, why does he have hair? Motherfucker should be bald. But he balds later, so it's okay. It's okay. But I really enjoyed Lionel Strong, and it in the world of Westeros, it's nice to have one decent person that's not a main character. It's nice to have the honorable person who's not front and center.
yeah, I'm gonna be honest. Lionel Strong, I really liked in the show. I actually thought that the bromance between him and Viserys was pretty cool,
Mm-hmm.
and I was disappointed that we did not get a scene where Viserys. We already discussed it, but where Viserys basically reveals he's aware Rhaenyra's children are illegitimate, but he has the attitude. Well, I like Lionel, so I'll turn a blind eye partially because, well, we basically now share grandchildren, so I'm cool with that. Where it's a personal thing, like he's personally biased towards his best friend,
Yeah,
and but where this would put his reaction in complete opposition to Lionel, um, who's really horrified by this. You know what I mean?
mm-hmm. I mean, one of
And
his best scenes is when he like tells Viserys, "I quit," and Viserys is like, "Why? I can't tell you." Well, then I refuse to accept it.
yeah,
And you could
and it
just
would
you could just see the actor like as he's portraying Lionel going, "Fuck! What do I do now? I can't quit."
I thought that scene was hilarious. I loved it. Um, I I just think that with this addition of Viserys being able to know about the kids and their actual heritage, it would be a little funny because you have Lionel, who's getting his panties in a bunch, so to speak, while Viserys is like, whatever, I'm cool. It would almost, it would be horrifying in a way, but also comedic.
Mm-hmm.
On the other hand, Harwin, I would have liked to see a few more fighting scenes with him,
Fight.
just so that, just because he's renowned as a great warrior, and why not have him? I don't know, break some bones.
Or get his bones broken, you mean?
Yeah, that too.
um, yeah, Harwin definitely is someone I would have liked more of. Of the Strongs, he's probably, like, not physically the weakest, obviously, but, he just doesn't have as much, despite being the father of those bastards, he doesn't quite have the real presence.
Yeah, I like.
His biggest moment is when he like just beats the crap out of Kristen Cole, which never gonna happen in the books. But there, like that's probably his best moment. But he doesn't. There's like I don't know much about him. I know he's a pretty loving guy, but there's just no real spice to him.
Yeah, I thought the actor was good, but I thought that they should have introduced him earlier, like in the first part of the show.
Yeah, we see him a lot in the first part of the show, but we don't get to know him.
I guess I didn't even notice him. Wow.
Yeah, because
Um.
he's kind of in the background sometimes. Like during the big hunting, you can actually see him like
Oh, yeah, he's there.
yeah, he's like skinning a deer or chopping something up or doing something, but he's there to like see Rhaenyra ride in covered in blood or whatever. He's also Rhaenyra also kind of bumps into him. He's the random gold cloak that she bumps into, and he's like, "Keep going, don't worry, I'll keep this to myself." When he sees Daemon, I think as well. So he's always
I'm,
kind of been around, but yeah, there's just no real strong presence or connection. I wouldn't have mind if we gotten a little bit like kind of in the romance between the two, between
yeah,
Rhaenyra and Strong.
why not get into their romance and have them bond a little? Like, you need to put them a little more front and center. I'm not saying like have them, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Just
there.
have him. I almost think weirdly, in hindsight, that maybe the one who found Rhaenyra by the tree in the first episode should have been him to an extent.
Found her in the tree?
No, I said by the tree.
Oh, by the tree. Okay.
Yeah, maybe because yeah, there are some good Allison bonding scenes, but maybe we needed scenes like that with her and Harwin, where we see it start as a friendship and blossom into a romance, and then we see his death, and where we get to know and care about the character.
Yeah. Speaking of death, though, I will say since we've talked about Harwin and his father Lionel, I was like pretty torn up during their death scene. I knew it was coming. I knew how it was coming, and I was still like, ah, no, I like these. Don't kill them. Nah, I know they're going to
Yeah,
die, but nah. Which, speaking of that, though, we got to talk to the guy. We got to talk about the guy who caused it. That motherfucker.
Laris.
Larry's, however you pronounce it, that crippled bastard.
Yep. Which
I love to hate him, and it's different from like the like. I'm not going to go so far as to say that he's a psychopath or anything, but he's
he's clearly a little finger tight.
yeah, and yeah, that I mean, I don't like him because he killed his brother and father. That's kinslaying. No, 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 no. That's a big no-no. But I do like a lot of what they've done with him, and I think like he's a very accurate adaptation from the book. I think all of the Strongs are very accurate to their book counterparts. There, I will say though, Larry's probably has one of my biggest complaints. I'm just not a fan of the foot fetish aspect.
Yeah, that I'm just really don't care.
Like, and I've heard like all sorts of different interpretations on that, and people say like it's not the feet, it's the fact that he's able to get the queen to do this. I'm just like, okay, but then have her do something else. Like, I don't know. It seems interesting to make the guy who's called the clubfoot, who obviously has some sort of foot disability, making it difficult for him to walk. It seems interesting to give that guy a foot fetish. That's all I'm saying. It just
It's a
feels
little on the new.
yeah.
It's a little on the nose. You know what I mean? Like, it, that said, I find that he's clearly a nod to Richard III to an extent from Shakespeare. So I like that about the character because I'm fond of Richard III, the play.
Mm-hmm.
Now is the winter of our discontent. Um, but Larry's strong. Funny enough, I didn't mind him to an extent, but I was reminded a little of Littlefinger and Varys from the show in a way, in that Oh yeah, I wouldn't trust this guy. You know what I mean? Like my immediate reaction was, who would trust this guy?
Hmm.
Then it's like, oh right, the some of these rulers and whatnot. Right. Okay.
But yeah,
Just because I remember thinking Peter Baelish and Varys were the most sleazy looking guys in the original Game of Thrones show, and just thinking, who in their right minds would even trust them?
yeah. I mean, never trust a eunuch and a guy who owns a brothel.
Yeah.
But
History's proven that neither of them are very trustworthy.
I know. Just look at what happened to China.
Hmm.
But with that, I will say, Larius. I'm really looking forward to what they're going to do. He's obviously a fairly like of all the side characters we're talking about, he's clearly I think the most prominent one, and he
Yeah.
does some stuff, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to how his story plays out, minus the foot fetish.
Yeah. Yeah. That was just get on with it. You're basically chewing up scenery right now. Get on to what I mean.
Yeah,
Like I kind of wanted the Monty Python scene of God, the knights, the nuns, all screaming, "Get on with it!"
but now
Um,
from the Strongs we go to the Valarian bastards of Jacaerys and Lucerys.
yeah, honestly, they blurred together.
I don't think they blurred together, but
At
there
least for me, they
but I think like nothing aside from Lucerys' final scene, they just don't quite stand out, which is to be expected. They weren't even born for like the first half of the series, and then
yeah,
through like the next quarter, they're just children, unable to really do or decide anything. And it's not till like the last two episodes I think they're actually adults, and in one of those it's dedicated entirely to the Greens.
yeah. I
So
think that's pretty much the case. I think
yeah,
it's the last 3 episodes, and
yeah, so the actors pretty much get 2 episodes to really try and make an impression on us, and all we got was one fairly amazing death, I'd say, and another one becoming a meme walk.
a what?
You haven't seen the Jaceres meme?
I have no idea what that is. What?
Yeah,
There's a meme about
yeah. There's a popular image going around just of how he walked in a single scene.
it? Okay,
Here, let me send you an image.
let me. Oh, with punched shoulders or whatever.
I mean, it's just like one. It's that one scene. Doesn't nothing like it happens in any other moment in the show, but that one scene and people went with it. Just they you know that one meme where it's like the like especially Greens have done this, but like the Chad and then like the loser in front who walks exactly like Jaceres.
Yeah, yeah, I've seen that.
That's what the fandom did when they saw that.
Okay, I guess. Like, sure. I didn't even think of that. Um, honestly, I didn't really. Oh,
Yep, that see you see the similarities.
yeah, yeah, I see it. Okay, it's actually a little funny. Um, or very funny.
The Chad Green team and the Incel Blacks.
Honestly, the thought never crossed my mind till okay. Um,
But yeah,
the
obviously Jaceres has room. He's still alive, he's still kicking, and he's going to be fairly prominent in the second season. He'll be doing some stuff. There are
yeah,
he might be in the very first scene of the second season, but we'll see about that. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he does when he's off in the Vale and what comes after.
yeah, yeah.
We'll see if any of
I
Mushroom's tales come to light in regards to the Vale.
One can hope, but I think Jaceres, the I guess I ended up comparing him mentally to when I was watching to the actors for some of the Stark children, notably Robb and Sansa Stark. and uh, Joffrey's actor and even Theon, and I was like, doesn't have as much screen presence as them.
Yeah, and also,
But
I
on the
mean, with the
on
exception
the
of probably Sophie Turner, all those actors are fantastic. Jack Gleason, like I'm kind of sad that he retired after Game of Thrones. Theon Greyjoy, I think that's Alfie something.
I thought Sophie Turner I think she's a Sansa actress, right?
Yeah, Sophie Turner is the Sansa actress. Alf-
I've seen her in a few other flicks. She's pretty good at times.
I mean, her best was Game of Thrones. Everything else she's done has kind of been terrible. She
Yeah,
was
it's true.
she was the
Sometimes
she was the
terrible, but-
Phoenix in X-Men, and that was
Oh,
bad.
there, yeah, she was horrid. She was horrid. She should have never been given that role. Um, yeah, okay. I'm a bit more on the fence with her because I've seen one movie where she actually did a pretty good job. It's just, um, yeah. As for weirdly, I found that Jon Snow's actor was in the movie.
Oh, Kit Harington, you found him what
I found him just having the least amount of presence.
in Game of Thrones?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I never was a big fan of Jon Snow. I mean, that was the thing. He was the archetypal goody two shoes kid. When in Game of Thrones, like it's nice to have the side characters be like a breath of
Oh,
fresh air in this dark, twisted world. But having Kit Harington as the main prominent, like ever since season one, he was like a mainstay alongside Daenerys Targaryen and Amelia Clark. But I just never really got into him that much.
I like the stick in the mud Boy Scout type characters. Typically, like no, I'll admit I really like those type of characters. But with him, I couldn't get around to it.
You know,
But
I
yeah,
I just realized looking at a lot of the cast from Game of Thrones, not a lot of them really win anywhere after Game of Thrones.
no, they didn't. And um,
Oh
but
my
with
god, what
Jason,
happened to Macy Williams? She lost her eyebrows.
I don't want to know.
Anyway,
Um,
I just got a video idea, but I'll save that for later.
but for Jace, he didn't have much screen presence. I hope he astounds me in season two.
Hmm.
Um, honestly, given my expectations aren't terribly high, I'm sure he will impress me
Yeah,
in season two.
I
I'm
don't.
just
I don't think he's going to
deciding to be
impress.
optimistic.
I don't think he's going to impress me because Jacaerys in the books is another character who I don't have a real strong feeling for in general. He was there. He did some stuff.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
the
same.
most I feel
Just
for him
leave
is
a very
pity.
strong impression.
Yeah, I mean, just mostly in general, the feelings I feel for him is pity, which I still kind of get. This is a shitty situation he had no say in.
Yeah, I do strongly understand the pity part.
All right, but
Um,
in regards to his younger brother Lucerys, obviously, we're not going to get any more scenes with him unless they want to pull a Laenor Velaryon out of their ass again. But I think it's safe to.
or revive him.
Oh wait, no, I forgot. Uh, is this spoilers? I don't think it's spoilers, but I'll say it, like it kind of is. But there is like the common tale of what happened to Lucerys in the world of A Song of Ice and Fire. He fell off his dragon, hit his head, and was rescued by a lady on the beach, who he then marries, and then because of the injury on his head, forgets who he is, and just spends the rest of his life as just a fisherman.
I never heard that.
I think it's told like right after Aemond quote unquote I guess now kills him.
I didn't even. Wow. Okay.
And I think the crazy thing is I think that it was Mushroom's tale. I think it was Mushrooms. It was like the only tale of Mushroom that wasn't just swamped with perversion.
If it had been more fleshed out, there would have been some perversion thrown in.
Maybe he
But
didn't go into detail what he did with the wife or the fishes, I guess.
no, no, he didn't. So he married a Tully. Poor guy. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I couldn't resist that joke.
But yeah,
Um,
but obviously Lucerius's best moments were his final moments when he actually has a little bit of a back and forth with Aemond. Um,
yeah, right before he becomes Dragon Child.
yeah, right before he comes draggy food. And
I guess he probably had a very strong taste to him.
you're terrible.
I can't help it. You started with the puns, and now I can't stop.
Yeah.
When, once I start on dad jokes, I never stop.
Yeah, but Missaria. So yeah, I know we joked a little bit about Missaria, but she's probably one of the most different characters, not just visually, but character wise from show to books. I'd say because in the books she's not that important. I would say in the show, excuse me. In the show, though, it seems clear to me that she is much more prominent in how things are going.
Hmm. Yeah. Um. Yeah. I don't know what to say about Masaria. It's just I don't care enough. Sorry. It's just she left no impression on me. I cared so very little for her.
Yeah, and it is kind of a shame of all the side characters we've talked about. All these side characters, like Helena, would have benefited from more screen time. So maybe Bissaria needed like to be more book accurate and in the shadows and not that important. So that way these other characters could have more development.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. I guess. Um. Then there's the two Lannisters.
oh, okay. Hold on. I think it's like no, Jeffrin. I don't know,
I don't remember their names.
but they're twins.
Yeah,
Jason. One of them was
that's one.
Jason, and the other one. So Jason Lannister was the older one, and his brother was.
The Lannisport guy.
No, Jason's son was the.
Oh yeah, that's right. I'm for me today. Anyways, yeah, the one who proposed to Rhaenyra, I didn't have too much of a problem.
Yeah. Finally. So the one that proposed to Rhaenyra was Jason, and the brother who's sitting at the Small Council is Tylan.
Thailand, yeah, I like him in the book, and I
Yep.
can't say anything about him because spoilers.
Yeah, he hasn't like done anything. I will say, like Tylan is a. Let's focus more so on Jason because it's an interesting thing with Jason. There's quite a bit to talk about him show wise, but less so book wise. In the books, he's kind of just like, hey, I wanted to marry Rhaenyra, like so many other. He's just kind of name dropped as a pursuer of Rhaenyra, and he never gets the girl. Like that's about it. Thailand, because of his position on the small council, is much more prominent in the books, but in the show, he's only prominence is really in that second to last episode where they're crowning Aegon.
Yeah, Jason, I thought weirdly he didn't come off too much as a douche when he flirted with Rhaenyra. Like the rejection of him, I actually thought was like, okay, that's a little irrational. On the other hand, I was going to say what it strongly reminded me of was some of the impolitic decision making of some of the Starks and of Joffrey. Just in that, he, with Rhaenyra, it was like, okay, there's a way to reject him, and it's as, and there's a way not to. I think it's in the novel of The Godfather where Don Corleone says the trick to rejecting someone and getting them to still remain on your side is to make a no sound like a yes.
It's like the
And
classic. I'll look into it.
yeah, essentially. and to make them feel special about it. Like where you make them feel like they're the most important person on the planet. And this kind of trick, I would say not everyone in Game of Thrones universe seems Westeros seems to have mastered, obviously. But I found that with Rhaenyra, I was like, you should have done it that way. Rejecting Jason like that, yeah, this is gonna bite you. I know it's like,
I mean,
yeah,
yeah, but at the same time, I don't think it was her rejection that causes the Lannisters to be on the side of the Greens. Like she
yeah,
could have. It didn't matter how she rejected him. Just rejecting him in general was probably all that it took to make him a Green.
yeah, fair, fair. I can't argue with that.
Yeah, and also, I'll be honest. While Jason, like, I found humorous, I probably wouldn't want to be married to him either. If like someone's first pickup line was like, "Hey, I want your pets," well, that doesn't make me feel very loved and special.
True, true. Um, as I don't think there's much more we can say about the Lannisters because
Yeah, it gets more into the spoilers, but with that said, I am really happy that they are like I know it's not twins, but they got like the same actor to portray both of them, and the actor that they
yeah.
got to portray both the Lannisters was Sir Hugh of the Vale from the first season. Remember the guy who gets jousted to death by Gregor?
Oh,
Yep,
him.
same
I
actor.
completely they recast.
hmm Which makes me wonder, if we're going to get a story about how maybe Jason or Tyland survive the Dance of the Dragons and they run away to the Vale and live there, and then boop, 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 the Descendants becomes Sir Hugh of the Vale.
Yeah, fair.
It's perfect. It makes total sense. That's clearly what the showrunners are hinting at.
I guess. Whatever. And
Um, any
I'm gonna
other
be honest.
side characters?
There's Boris Baratheon.
He gets one scene though.
Yeah, imagine if he got Morrison.
I mean, all I can say is it's very book accurate.
Yeah,
Like, I think it's one of the few scenes where it's word for word from the book.
yeah, I think so. And he's clearly illiterate. And what I'm always wondering what the Maester bloody well whispered into his ear.
I mean,
And
presumably what the letter said.
yeah, it's just I wonder if maybe the letter was nicely worded and where the Maester twisted it because maybe he got a big fat bribe from Aemond. I don't know. I'm always a little suspicious. But on the other hand, Rhaenyra has a way of turning friends into enemies.
Yeah, she's not the
She's not
nicest person to work with.
no,
Yeah, but we both know that she doesn't get any better with that whole aspect of her.
no, she really doesn't. She really doesn't. She's just like with Aegon and her, it was a matter of okay, which incompetent do you want on the front? Either way, you're losing. And uh, Boris, um, we'll see a bit more of him in the future, but I don't
Yeah,
know
I
how.
think all. Ooh, wait. Here's someone we might be able to talk to about. I think I can't remember his first name, but Sir Westerling.
Oh, the Lord Commander.
Yeah, Harold Westerling. So
I like
obviously, okay. I think we talked about this in regards to Kristen Cole, but I'll say it again. I hate him.
I kind of liked him just in the sense that I thought the actor was pretty charismatic.
Oh yeah. I think it's Graham McTavish. Scottish actor, amazing. Like, I don't have any issues with that. My issues
The
is,
Scots are often very good actors.
I mean, my issue is, you're right because I think not Liam Hem. The fuck, I'm like drawing a blank on all these names.
Well,
But
yeah.
who the fuck is Davos? Liam
Oh,
Cunningham. Cunningham, thank you. I knew it was Liam, but I was like, Liam's Hemsworth? That's not right. Liam Cunningham. He's amazing. He's one of my favorite actors from the original Game of Thrones. But anyways, Harold Westerling. Obviously, in the books, he just dies of old age, and Kristen Cole takes over.
yeah.
They keep him alive, and they have so far done nothing. And
Yep.
there has to be a reason they kept him alive. It's the same reason they kept Leonor alive, because you don't just keep them alive. You have to have a reason to do it. And
Maybe he ends up. Oh, I got an idea. Maybe he ends up retiring and marrying that fish wife since Lucerys is not going to survive.
maybe. But it's just, I thought I knew where they were going with it until he just left and nobody stopped him. So now I'm very concerned with what they're going to do with him. And every idea I've come up with, I hate.
Name a few.
Well, without getting into too many spoilers, the first and main one, which I think is like the only one they could reasonably do, is that that battle in the Riverlands, doesn't end well for a certain character. Having Harold Westerling there might make it a bit more gut punchy in a way,
Yeah.
but I don't know. I don't think it adds that much, and I personally like the idea of Kristen Cole killing Harold Westerling at the small council. I think that would have been so much better.
I agree. I agree. That would have added, and where maybe he compounds the error of killing one of the small council members with killing the head of the King's Guard.
Mm-hmm.
That would that would show that Kristen is truly fallen.
Yeah,
Like
but yeah, Harold
he shot
Westerling
one
is.
old man out a window and then he gutted the other.
But yeah, the old man has lived too long.
Yeah. Oh, there is one character we haven't seen, but I really wanted to see Lord Tully.
You want to see Lord Tully?
I wanted to see the Muppets.
I mean, yeah, but I think the eldest one, or like the Lord, is like. I mean, that's some Hoster Tully stuff. He's just like old and bedridden. Like it's the younger ones we want to see.
Oh, fair, fair. What is it? Elmo and Kermit?
Yes, and I think Oscar is the head currently at the start of the
Oh,
dance.
okay. I just want to see those Muppets.
Right.
Like in Game
No, trust me,
of
I
Thrones.
want to see them too. It's about time we had some badass Tullys. All we had was Brendan, and they fucked him up in the show. So come on,
Yep.
and they also fucked up Edmure. I love my Tullys. Why do they mistreat my fishes?
Yeah, I just think it's also great to have a collab between HBO and Jim Henson's sons.
I mean, it makes sense because HBO, I think, has the rights to Sesame Street and the Muppets.
Yeah, so we got to see the actual. Oh, we could even have Kermit sing a little.
Oh God.
Now I'm trolling. But in all seriousness, it would be nice to see some on-screen badass Tullys, because in the books, at least, Edmure honestly has all the heart. Yeah, I know he has some moments which are strategically not as wise in some ways. On the other hand, I found that, um, no offense to like Ned Stark, there are times when Ned Stark's like, yeah, whatever about the peasants. Well, Edmure seems to be the one like, no, we can't just turn away from them. Uh,
Oh,
we have
Edmure.
a
Edmure by far is probably the most compassionate lord. Like maybe not the most, but he's in the higher ups in that regard. Also, all of his failures tactically in the War of the Five Kings, that's on Robb. That's not on him. Rob needs
It's-
to learn to tell the guy who's in charge of like half of his military power what his plans are and shit.
yeah. Well, I
Maybe
was just gonna say, there is
expect the Lord of the Riverlands to defend the Riverlands and not let the enemy just walk on through them.
I was only going to say there's only one error I might not chalk up to Rob, and that would be I think it was Edmure was captured early on by Jamie.
Yeah, that was before the Starks had even properly entered. Because what happened was, uh,
That's on Ned.
it sure doesn't help, but it might be more on Catelyn because Catelyn abducted Tyrion, and that was the main like justification for the Lannisters to come and just start fucking up the Riverlands.
True, but on the other hand, um, I just think that Ned should have, like at that point, it was past the point of negotiations even before she captured Tyrion. He should have prepped up some Stark men to properly defend the Riverlands
Mm-hmm.
because, like, he knows Tywin Lannister. Like, the guy is gonna start a war. Like, you know what I mean?
You don't even have to know Tywin Lannister. 99% of dads would do the same thing. Granted, not for the same reason Tywin does, but most would still do it.
Yeah. The only thing that kept Tywin in check was fear of Robert.
But
And
with that, we've gotten completely off topic, back to Game of Thrones. But with
with
that
that said,
said,
yeah, the Muppet Tullies are badass, cool, and great characters.
I'm,
I am really excited to see them. I want them to be regular characters. Like, you know what I mean? Like, give them as much screen time as possible. Take away some from Rhaenyra. We don't need her as much. We don't need as many Rhaenyra scenes. We need more Tully scenes. Also, let's take away some Aegon scenes. We need more Tully scenes.
right, take away all the
These
bad
Tully,
Aegon scenes, please, and just give us more Tully.
yeah, yeah, and maybe more Lannisters because these Lannister, like Tywin Lannister's, pretty cool.
Yeah,
So
Tywin
but he's just,
Lannister needs some time to cook. He hasn't been cooking. He needs some time.
yeah, yeah. So
But it's good to
any other?
know that even with these, like we were able to talk a bit about some of the side characters, but we're both obviously excited for the side characters who have yet to make an appearance in the show, and
Yeah,
I can't wait to talk about them as well. I hope, like for the most part, I hope they're book accurate. I'm okay with some wiggle room here and there in their characterization and whatnot, but I'm very excited for what we do with them.
yeah, yeah, and we're definitely gonna have to continue this podcast when the
Oh,
second season comes out.
oh, most definitely. But with that
I'm
said,
not gonna lie, when I don't remember what the release date is for the
neither
second
do I. But who cares?
season. Who cares? But this is what your channel's all about.
I'll make a community post when it's a week away or some shit.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
But with that all squared away, I want to just thank you again, Mr. Kern, for having me on to have these wonderful discussions. I've enjoyed every single
Pleasure.
one of them, especially the ones we disagree on.
Same.
All right.
Uh, next time we'll have to get started on the Game of Thrones series.
I gotta
Yeah,
start getting through the book series again.
that's okay.
Al,
So
if you happen to be a fan of my channel and you jumped over to the Brothers Kern to watch this, make sure to like and subscribe. They've been helping, or he's been helping me out a lot, and it's always good to work with him. And make sure to check out my own channel when you're done watching his to see some of our other discussions.
and don't forget to smash the subscribe button on both channels once again, as though you were Balerion the Black breathing down upon them.
I don't know. I prefer Robert Baratheon smashing it with his hammer.
Okay, we'll go with that one.
Alrighty. Well, with that all squared away, be safe, and I hope you all have a wonderful night.
And stay awesome.
Like a possum.